All right, welcome to Armchair Bikers TV. I'm Buzz, and we are in the shop tonight. We're gonna work on a 2020 Super Cub. It's got a brake issue. And we're gonna start doing these segments in the shop. And we're gonna call them Nut Bustin' with Buzz. 2020 Super Cub has got a brake that's locking up. This happened on the Forbidden Highway video. Check that out on our channel. And this happens sometimes with bikes that are left out in the moisture, ridden, and a lot in the rain, salt. I ride this all winter, so this happened to this bike. And so we got it home, and now we got to get it back on the highway. Again, I'm not a mechanic, but I am a professional nut buster. Let's get working. But right now, pick the front wheel up, spin it. You can see she's spinning good. Clamp the front brake on, pump it up a couple times, and now watch. Oh, she doesn't even spin. She's just, look at that. This problem developed while we were out riding in the Forbidden Trail, if you want to watch that video. And just took a rock, and this is a hammer, just took a rock and sort of tapped that. And watch. Boom, look at her. She's spinning like a dream. So you get yourself home without using the front brake, but like I said, just in case you have to use the front brake, you can use the front brake, it works, but then you just pull over and tap that baby again, because like I said, pump up the front brake, and they're not releasing. And it's just a moisture issue. Only a 5-year-old bike, but it's literally just a moisture issue in that caliper. Sometimes it's up in the master cylinder, but 9 times out of 10, if it's doing that and you can release it like that, it's in the caliper. All right, let's get her taken apart. We'll show you what's going on. All right, got a quick update. So 2 bolts, take off the caliper. It's pretty simple because it's a single piston caliper. Take that off, and then before you take off your cap up here, take up your cap here, and then make sure that's full. And then you want to pump the front brake. And what you're trying to do here is push the piston out. And as you can see, just keep pushing it. So push that piston out till it gets to the end. You're probably gonna have to fill this up a little bit because you're gonna run out of fluid. And you don't want to get air in there till you're done pushing out the piston. Get it right to the end, and the piston will push out. And I'll have a little bucket to catch all your fluid. And there's the piston, and you can see. And she's got a little bit of damage on the edge from moisture, salt. What happens when you ride your motorcycles in the winter, and you leave them outside and ride them on the ice and all that good stuff. So yeah, so we're gonna see how bad the seals, little seals are in there. Clean them out. Clean this piston up a little bit and see. Sometimes you have to buy a new piston, new seals, and then just rebuild it. You also can just buy a whole new caliper if you really don't want to even deal with this. But I think this one can be cleaned up. And of course, you don't take off the banjo bolt before so you don't lose your pressure, because you do that, then you've lost and you can't push the piston out. So basically, you want to push your piston out before you take that off. Get your piston out, and then take that off, and then we'll get it on the bench and show you how bad the moisture has messed up the little gaskets, or little seals in there. All right, we are over on the bench. So we got it out. I'm gonna pull this sliding bracketry out. Oh yeah, there we go. So they're in pretty good shape. These sometimes get rusted and pitted. 2 little seals that look good. Sometimes these get ripped and torn, so I check those. But other than that, looks pretty good. Now if you look in there, we got those, like the seals in there for the brake. One's probably a dust seal, one's a main seal. We're going to pull them out very gently with a little pick, and then get behind there and see. Once I pull those out, I'll show you if they've got the white goo in there that gets in behind the seal, and it won't let it return on the piston. And again, took a look at the piston. It's got some marks on it. And clean this up very carefully. And you can go over with your fingernail and see how pitted any of those are. This is amazingly pretty for 5 years. This is got some pretty good pitting to it, but I think I can clean it up and get it working again. Okay, so I've taken the picks and I've dulled these down a little bit so they're not pointy. And we've taken them out and we've got our problem. The inner seal is pretty clean. It's got some, you can see, I don't know if you can pick that up. It's got some bunch of dirt and a bunch of that stuff in there, which is probably not helping it. Sticking out a little bit, but here's the culprit. If you look at that, you can see all the white crusty, that's all moisture built up on that seal, and it's just blowing the seal out, keeping it fatter than it should be. And if you look inside, if you can pick that up, with all that the Cheeto stuff in there, as I call it, is all just oxidation, moisture, all that stuff in there. So that all needs to be cleaned out. These again are not as pointy, just a little bit, so they won't do damage to get the stuff out of there. So you just got to go through and clean all that out. Get these two surfaces all clean. Get these clean, put them back in there, and then put the piston back in. Get this cleaned up, put the piston back in, and get it back on the bike, and hopefully we can bleed it. That's the time-consuming part of this, is getting it bled, and then you just hope it releases again. This is the quick way of doing it. I would suggest that you probably get new piston, new seals, and just clean it out, put the new seals in there, a new piston. And if you get this good and clean, I've had pretty good luck with them lasting a few years, especially if they're not being stored outside. But this is probably going to be stored outside again all winter. Winter bike, ice riding bike. So I'm probably going to get about a year out of this fix. All right, let me just show you what I found. Is just because if you're on a budget and you're just trying to get the bike back up and running, the best way to do this is literally with your fingernail. And you can just see yourself just going around this carefully. It's painstaking, but scraping that white Cheeto dust off of there. And this Cheeto stuff is just stuck right to it, which is making the seal sort of blown up inside. And that way the piston can't return, because this stuff is behind it. So the seal is bigger. It's sticking out because this stuff is all built up behind it. And then the piston is getting stuck on the seal, won't return. Again, this is a budget fix. So we've got this all cleaned up. You can see that in there. Focus, there you go. So that's all nice and clean. Both channels in the caliper are all cleaned out. The inner one was pretty clean. The outer one was the problem. That thing was filled with the Cheeto crumbles. All the Chester Cheeto dust is all off that thing. And then this is the outer one. This is all nice and clean, as you can see. And the best thing is thumbnail. That's why I didn't cut my thumbnail, because you scrape that stuff off with your thumbnail, works great. And then the piston, I sanded down and cleaned up all those little scuffs on there. Again, now this is, you could order a new piston, you could order the new seals, clean out that and then put them all back together. But this is definitely worth taking the time to do it. If you're on a budget, or you're cleaning like an old caliper from an older motorcycle that you maybe can't get those parts, can't get the piston. And I have an 86 Helix that the front brake was all locked up, and that's a twin piston. I got that cleaned up. I spent a lot of time on it. It's time consuming, but I cleaned up the twin piston caliper on that, and it's been good for 10 years, that piston. The pistons and everything I sanded off have actually lasted 10 years with that Helix from sitting here, and that hasn't crumbled back up. So it is doable it is a doable thing. It does take time. You got to make sure everything's cleaned out of there, scraped down. These little picks, the sharp little pick right there, works great to get in there and just scratch down that. It doesn't scratch down the actual surface. It just takes off that corrosion around there. So I put the two little seals in there, inner outer seal, got them in there, placed in there all nice and fine. Put some brake fluid in there, just poured it in there, smooth it around, put some on the piston. Basically, you push the piston in nice and level, nice and slow, and it'll slide right in there. Because once you get that in there, you're not getting that out without the pressure of the hydraulic fluid. So make sure you get in there right, and then you get the seals in there. Put this little piece back, greased it all up. She's ready to go back on. I'll put the banjo bolt in, hook up the line, put some fluid up in the master cylinder, and start doing the levers. So we'll get over and I'll show you that process, because that's going to be Oh, bitch. Okay, so we're back. Just give you some quick pointers on this. Yeah, when you take your caliper off, take a picture of it just so you see how the brake pads go in. It's kind of hard to mess them up, but it just helps you out. I was always going to take a picture of stuff. So you put your brake pads back in the caliper. Bam, generally there's a little pin that threads in there to hold them in there. Sometimes there's 2 of them. And you want to clean that up because that gets rusty. So clean that surface up nice and smooth and throw some grease on it. And then you put that in, tighten that up. Put it back on. These are all 12 millimeters on this. 12 or 14. Sometimes they're hex nuts. Tighten that up, and then you put your banjo bolt in. And just so everyone knows, banjo bolts have a sealing washer on each end. So sealing washer on the inside, sealing washer on the outside. Goes in there. Tighten that up. And then you fill your reservoir with fluid and break open your bleeder. And then I'm just gonna start pumping the lever like this. Obviously, I gotta put fluid in here, and I gotta break the bleeder. But I was just telling you this is what the start of it is, and you're trying to just help this pump it and run it down so maybe you see some fluid running out of here. All right, so got some fluid in the master cylinder. Left the bleeder open and tapped the line a few times, pumped the lever like this, and I started having some run out of here. So there's some fluid down there. So now I close this a little bit, just trying to have it work down there, build a little bit of pressure. And as you can see, as you start to mess with the lever a little bit, it's that little hole right there. Hey, you can see some air bubbles coming out. So you're just trying to work that fluid down there. Helps to tap it. I do this a little bit, shake it. Got to be careful because you don't want to spill your brake fluid on your paint. That'll mess everything up. Ooh, big bubble, big bubble. No trouble, no trouble, big bubble, big bubble. Yeah, yeah. Pump it. Pump it real good. I got the lever held, and then crack it. See a little bit of fluid come out. We are pumping some air through that line. You can hear it. We've got a little bit of feel on the lever. You can hear that, and then we're gonna see what comes out. Got the lever held. Oh, see that? See that spit right out? She's a spitter, boys. You can hear it. So again, I got 15, 20 minutes into this, maybe. I'm just estimating because I really haven't been keeping track of it, but we're getting there. Working that air out. Okay, so we actually have a little bit of feel in the lever. That sound finally went away to push that air out. And now you can watch it go. So we got the lever up tight, and then there's a quick open and shut. There you go. There you go. We got lever. And you can see how that fluid's shooting out of there. You're holding the lever. Pressure that. There you go. We got brakes. Okay, so there we go. We got a brake. Boom. We got the fluid, little bubble in there, and we got a brake. So cleaned all this up. Little tip: what a lot of people do also is you put a hose on there into a bottle. That'll keep your fluid from dripping all over like I did it. I just obviously have a bike that you don't want to get that fluid all over. This is my little beater bike, so I don't really take too much time and effort to do it correctly. So, but yeah, get a hose on there, a little bit of hose down into a bottle. You can do that. Leave the wrench on there, put the hose on down into a bottle that keeps it from squirting out. Again, and clean all this up with a brake clean. And you're all set to go. All right, so there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, we got the Super Cub up and running. She's back on the highway. So just showed you what happens to the brake calipers when they get exposed to a lot of moisture over time. So it's a pretty easy fix. 9 times out of 10 it works without parts and just some fresh brake fluid. So hopefully you got some good little tips out of this, or just follow along, and hopefully you enjoyed it. This was our first episode of Bustin' Nuts with Buzz. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. Give us a thumbs up if you had fun and enjoyed it. And it helps out, puts a little bit of money back in the account, and we fill up our gas tanks with it so we can do more rides and things. All right, greatly appreciate it. Peace. See you on the next one.